Hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm Ryan in Singapore. Welcome to our mindfulness practice. Today's topic is Inside Out 2. So I had recently, before scheduling this event, had seen this movie and just really liked somewhere near the end of the movie kind of what's going on. If I'll try not to spoil the movie for you if you haven't seen it, but yeah, as the main character in the movie, his name is Riley. She's controlled by a bunch of little emotional characters inside of her head, and as she goes through puberty, she gets a few new emotions, and one of them is anxiety. So maybe you can relate to having anxiety. And I think what's interesting about the movie is that, uh, usually in the character's context, joy is the one who's at the controls, right? The emotion of joy. And in this movie, as Riley starts to go through puberty, joy gets kicked out of her position, and anxiety starts to take over as the key driver of what is going on for Riley and how Riley's making all of her decisions. So it's really controlled by anxiety, and what's interesting is how as these emotions show up, it also it illustrates the immaturity of teenage emotions. However, that doesn't mean that we as adults aren't also really controlled by some of these emotions that we may not be good friends with. And I think that's really kind of the key message, is that somewhere near the end of the movie, when these emotions all have their confrontation with one another, I think one of the real key line of the movie is, there's a climactic point in the movie where really difficult things are happening for Riley, and anxiety has gone really kind of out of control to try to keep things under control. And I thought that alone is very interesting, to see anxiety going completely out of control to try to keep things in control, because that was super relatable. And you can see in this moment that Riley is about to have a panic attack, and this is because of that overactive anxiety, and yeah, and this is it, and what it is exactly what we talk about anxiety being, that kind of involuntary projection into the future of all of the things that could happen. And I think, we tend to view anxiety negatively. And, something that's really interesting and important to point out is that some of these ideas that anxiety comes up with are good, right? They're not, there are a lot of bad ones too. But, there are some good ideas that come out of it, that through that looking forward into the future and going, I need to plan for this. Like, what can I do to help this, to change or help this situation so that it is in my favor. However, what we do discover as well is that these decisions based on fear, and I think and very importantly as well, self-protection, right? Is that all of it is kind of looking to see like how can I avoid pain for myself? How can I find a way to navigate this difficulty, this uncertainty, in a way that's going to be advantageous for me, so that I am okay when everything works out, and that's, I think that's really the key message. And there is that moment when when anxiety finally lets go of the controls and is exhausted, is like lying down on the floor and sees the rest of the emotions trying to pull together to help bring Riley back together. Anxiety says the key line, which is, "I was only trying to protect her." I think that, and it's a Pixar movie, right? You can't help but get a little emotional watching these movies. But I mean, that really, it really resonates, right? I mean, like that really is what anxiety was and is for most of us trying to do. And so when we hate our anxiety, when we push away our anxiety, we're forgetting that that's the purpose of anxiety. So instead of hating this thing that may be, that may be driving you crazy and driving you wild and making you really upset about your life situation, just remember that it's there to try to protect you. That's what it's trying to do. That's its function. Its function is to protect you. And the best way to treat anxiety is like the same way that they treat anxiety in the movie, which is, right, we all come together and have a big group hug, and that includes anxiety, right? Can we, as difficult as it is, befriend this challenging emotion, which does do a lot of things out of control, which does show up at times where we really, really don't want to think about all of this stuff that's going on, that could be going on in the future. And so, and the other interesting thing as well is that we see it nearer the beginning of the movie that, I mean, in this case, it's Joy, because she's kind of at the controls, right, is suppressing Riley's unpleasant memories. So putting them somewhere where they're not able to be seen, which I think, any of us, I don't, maybe not just people with mindfulness practice, we can kind of see that this has the potential to go wrong, and it really does kind of erupt, right? All of these suppressed memories, and kind of the moral is, we can't control. I mean, the emotions say we can't control who Riley becomes, and I think that it's important to know that there is an element of growth that we have amongst ourselves that we're not entirely in control of, so that we do stupid things. We remember those things. And is it possible to learn from those things instead of trying to suppress those memories and pushing them away? Embrace that as a part of yourself. Embrace that as a part of your core values. Can you learn from these difficult mistakes and embrace them as part of your experience instead of trying to push them away or deny them? And I would say last but certainly not least, that moment in the story where all of the emotions come together. You may have missed this, so it's quite subtle, but there's a really, really strong moment of mindfulness there. That there's no talking, none of the emotions are doing anything or saying anything. All of them observe what Riley is looking at, right? And Riley opens her eyes and is looking at her feet, and so this is the first moment of mindfulness. Nothing's going on except Riley's present moment experience. And then I think, to me, maybe one of the most beautiful moments of the movie, and it's super subtle, is it zooms in on Riley's hand, and Riley is touching the wood of the barrier of the penalty box. She's playing hockey and she's in the penalty box, and you just see her hand just move slightly to see that she's gently stroking the wood and feeling the texture of the wood. And I'm just like, wow. I mean, that really kind of blew me away for that, that obvious, intentional moment by the creators of the movie to show that, and to show that moment where Riley's really tuning in to the present moment awareness of physical sensation. And then you can see as well her breath slowing down, or her intentional breathing. And again, during all of these parts of the movie, there's no dialogue. There's nothing's going on. We're just observing Riley, observing her present moment situation. and then just seeing how things kind of play out from there. So she calms down, she kind of comes to her senses, realizes some of the things that she's doing that haven't been very productive, and starts to try and remedy that with that kind of clear-headed, present moment awareness. And so I really liked that, and I thought that it was applicable enough for me to talk about in this format. So pretty good lesson. Hopefully, hopefully it's not there. Hopefully it's not there just for kids. There are some adults that watch this movie and catch some of those lessons too. So the name of the movie is Inside Out too. It's basically a movie about with the main character going through adolescence and experiencing some new emotions. One which is controlling her a lot is anxiety. So, thanks. Let's go ahead and get into our practice. So, speaking of present moment awareness and awareness of physical sensations, go ahead and get yourself comfortable. And whatever you're experiencing right now, whatever emotion you're experiencing, is it possible to roll out the red carpet? Welcome emotion. Know that emotion, whatever you may be experiencing right now, is here to try to help you. All of our emotions have evolved for reasons to try to help us. To help us be more social, to interact the way human beings are meant to interact. Like, this hardware is millions of years old. It's just maybe the software that needs an upgrade. So as you arrive in your meditation posture, just have a little moment here to check in. Feel this posture. Maybe having a posture that reflects your determination to stay present, to practice being present. Feeling gravity pulling down on the body. Noticing the consequences of Earth's gravity. Feeling sensations in the spine, the muscles in the back, the shoulders, muscles in the face. Noticing the sensation of pressure. So as we're pulled down by gravity, we do not plummet to the center of the earth. Something pushes back. So can you feel? And you do have this ability to sense pressure. Pressure on the buttocks. Pressure on the legs or feet. What position are your hands in? Maybe your hands are resting on your knees or in your lap. Maybe your hands are folded together. Noticing what your hands are feeling. The left hand. Maybe the back of the left hand is in contact with the left knee. Maybe the left hand is intertwined with the right hand. And you focus on the sensations in the left hand only. Where is the left hand being touched? Where is the left hand in contact with air? As we examine each of the fingers, the fingernails, the thumbs, and now let's examine the right hand. So letting go of the left hand out of awareness and focusing only on the right hand. The back of the right hand. The area of the right hand that is in contact with other parts of the body. The area of the right hand that is exposed to air. The fingers of the right hand. The right thumb. And so now see if you can let go of the hands and bring your attention to your belly. Feeling the belly moving. Expanding as you breathe in. Contracting as you breathe out. So observing this cycle of expansion and contraction. Seeing if you can come to this sensation with curiosity, as if it were the very first time that you notice that you're breathing. Most of us just take it for granted that we're breathing all the time. And if we find our minds wandering away, observing the thought that caught your attention, observing any associated emotion, seeing if you can identify what is that emotion. Is it anxiety? And whatever that emotion is, whether you perceive it to be positive or negative, is it possible to embrace it? To love it as part of you? Maybe even to imagine you're hugging yourself, if that's possible. Or, in fact, maybe you actually do want to physically embrace yourself, if that seems helpful and appropriate for you. And after you've taken that moment to identify the thought, the emotion, to accept that it's here because it's already here, can you return your attention to the abdomen? Fully focus on the rising and falling of the belly as you breathe. And now it's time for us to draw our practice to its natural close. So I'll ring the bell 3 times. After the sound of the bell subsides completely, feel free to start moving your body, stretching out in any way you like as we transition out of our period of formal practice into the period of informal practice that is the rest of our day. All right. Thank you. Thanks for taking this time out to practice with me and with all of us. It's my pleasure, as always, to lead this practice and to remind you that practicing being present is very helpful in not getting lost in emotions. So it doesn't matter what kind of emotion we're experiencing. It's easy to get caught up. It's easy to get caught up on our thoughts and believe that what we are thinking right now is absolutely true. And I just want to remind you that your thoughts are just thoughts. And your thoughts that seem so true and so important right now, maybe 5 minutes later, maybe 3 hours later, maybe 2 days later, you'll say, hey, you know what? What I was thinking, that passionate thought, is not as applicable or accurate as I thought it was in that moment. So, be mindful. Be mindful of your thoughts. Be mindful of your emotions. How did your practice go today? So feel free to write in the chat what did you notice as you practiced today? And I really welcome any comments about anxiety. What movie reviews? What did you think of Inside Out 2? If you haven't seen it, it's it's a Disney Pixar movie, so it kind of checks all the Disney Pixar boxes. Yeah, Baby says I should watch Inside Out too. Yeah, you could give it a shot if you have a bit of free time. It's relatable, right? I mean that's kind of the idea of the movie, right? It's a relatable movie. Yeah. Angus says it's a perfect movie. I cried in one part of it. That's how Pixar movies, I think they all have a part where you cry, right? Like they've got that, that's designed. It's designed that way, right? It's designed for you to feel strong emotion in certain parts of the movie, and it's done well. I just say that this movie's done well, and it's nice. It's this relatable part of anxiety, being out of control, randomly planning into the future all the time, is and then like seeing if we can befriend it, right? I mean, this is all, gosh, I feel like I've talked about these things so many times, so it was really nice to see that movie and to kind of see this kind of mindfulness teaching in action in a mainstream movie. Yeah, Angus says watch 1 if you haven't seen it, before 2 if you haven't seen it. It certainly does give some context to the second movie if you see the first one. And yes, I saw myself and Riley. I know, and that's what's so great about it is I did too, right? I mean that's the that's the interesting thing too, is I don't think if it matters if you're male or female or non-binary or however, that there is this element of common humanity that really exists in so much of what we do, and as you know, probably if you've heard me talk about compassion, right, that this is one of the key elements of compassion, is that recognition of common humanity, that my experience is not my experience is both unique to me and not unique to me simultaneously, right? Like I'm having a unique experience, but this experience that I'm having is similar to experiences that millions of people around the world are having, and billions of people have had before me, right? I mean, it's like it's nothing that's brand new, yet it's brand new at the same time. Okay. Thanks everybody for being here today. it's been a lot of fun to kind of revisit this movie again. And if it's your first time here, I hope to see you again. This is my favorite way to interact on Insight Timer. I do have a lot of recordings that you can check out offline. Also, when I'm not on lives, if you would like to find people to meditate with, my group, it's the group that is called Ryan's Daily Mindfulness Circle, that is associated with this practice, has a lot of practices in it itself. So if you want to meditate in times when I'm not here leading a live practice, there is a group of people who are there who are meditating together every day. So you can feel free to join that group here on Insight Timer. It's called Ryan's Daily Mindfulness Circle. And keep up your practice. Daily practice, right? It's better to brush your teeth for 5 minutes every day and then to brush your teeth for 35 minutes on Sunday. So work on work in this mental space every day. Try to see what it's like to be present for just a little while every day and how that's going to affect you. I'll be back in about 47 and a half hours. So look forward to seeing you then. I've just come back from a little holiday trip with my family to Japan, and something that I've been to Kyoto before, but this time is my first time to go to Kyoto as a mindfulness teacher, and it just didn't occur to me how interlinked Zen is with that city. So that's what I'm going to talk about next time. Talk a little bit more about Kyoto and the Zen tradition, and yeah. So come back. Let's chat about our practice, and look forward to seeing you then. So until next time, I would like to also invite you to send some well wishes out to yourself and to everybody else who's here, and to all human beings and sentient life around the world and throughout the universe. So let's do that together. Follow along if you like. May I be happy and peaceful. May everyone watching, listening, wherever you are, be happy and peaceful. May all human beings everywhere in the world, I wish for all of us happiness and peace. Thanks, everybody. And yeah, and I say, as we wish happiness and peace, know that that's what it is. It's a wish. It's a well wish for happiness, for us to feel happy and satisfied. It is not a pushing away of anxiety and negative emotions, right? So understand that the wish of happiness isn't I don't want to be how I am now. I hope for myself. I hope for others that this happiness and peace comes. See you next time. Bye-bye.